Imagine walking on a forest trail. Suddenly, you spot a curved brown shape nearby. Before you can even consciously identify it as a stick, your foot has already started to rapidly recoil. This reaction happens because sensory information takes two different routes through the brain. While one path winds slowly up to the thinking cortex for analysis, a second direct line shoots straight to the amygdala, an almond-shaped cluster that acts as evolution's early warning system. When the amygdala fires, it bypasses conscious thought to prepare the body for a fight. Heart rate climbs, stress hormones flood the blood, and the world is viewed through a lens of narrowed attention. For our ancestors, a jumpy alarm was cheap insurance. This system prioritizes speed over accuracy, deciding it is better to flinch at 100 sticks than to miss a single snake. Problems arise when the alarm loses its off switch. In cases of anxiety, PTSD, and depression, the amygdala stays hyper-responsive, treating neutral faces and safe environments as active threats. To address this, 20th century psychiatry leaned heavily on SSRIs. These medications work by chemically dampening the fear center over the course of several weeks, attempting to normalize the overactive alarm. While this quiets the fear, patients often describe a secondary effect, emotional blunting. When the alarm is muted, the capacity for joy, grief, and excitement is often muffled right along with it. This creates a difficult trade-off. We can treat the suffering, but frequently only by trading it for a state of persistent numbness. In 2015, researchers used fMRI scans to see how the amygdala behaves during a psilocybin experience. They showed volunteers fearful and negative images to measure how the brain responded while under the influence. The results matched the existing medical model. Under psilocybin, amygdala reactivity faded. The alarm simply rang more softly. Initially, this suggested that psychedelics were just a faster way to achieve what SSRIs do, quieting the fear center in an afternoon rather than over a month. This discovery satisfied the bias that less amygdala activity was the primary metric for a cured patient. But the story didn't end with the dosing session. In 2018, a team at Imperial College London scanned patients with treatment-resistant depression the day after their psychedelic experience. They were looking for the long-term normalization of the fear center. Instead of staying quiet, the data showed a significant spike. Amygdalin responses to emotional faces actually increased the day after the trip, rising higher than they were before the treatment started. Most notably, the patients who showed the largest increases in amygdala activity were the ones who experienced the most significant clinical recovery. This finding forced a rethink of the mechanics of depression. While the trip itself provides a temporary window of silenced fear, depression is often defined by an emotional system that has gone numb to protect itself. This post-trip spike indicates that the wall of numbness has been dismantled. The emotional system is coming back online, re-engaging with the world rather than retreating from it. Healing appears to be a restoration of the capacity to feel. The goal of the treatment is a functional alarm system, not a silent one. This process relies on reconsolidation, the biological window in which the amygdala updates its stored memories. Because the psychedelic experience temporarily quiets the biological panic response, a patient can revisit a traumatic memory in a state of calm. This allows the brain to untangle the old, rigid associations of that memory. By approaching the trauma without being overwhelmed, the brain rewires the circuit. It teaches the amygdala that the past danger is no longer a present threat. The fear circuit is fundamentally updated. New, safer data is integrated into the system, replacing the old cycle of chronic alarm. We are transitioning from a model of subtraction, where we mute pain and accept numbness, to a model of restoration, where we reopen the circuits required to process fear. However, reopening these circuits is an intense biological event. Without the proper therapeutic set and setting, this process can lead to raw, re-traumatizing fear instead of healing. This is why clinical support is considered part of the medicine itself. Containment provides the safety necessary to move through the fear rather than being frozen by it. The ultimate goal of mental health is not to live without an alarm. It is to regain the capacity to feel fear fully, recognize that the danger has passed, and finally set the weight down.